Hello, everybody. Welcome back to more Chaos Head Noah, Hypno Junkies. I say welcome back, but for me it's been about 5 minutes since the end of the last episode, because why would I not want to continue playing and find out what the hell is going on? We got hit with a lot. A lot last episode. It would ended up being a long episode for good reason. I have a feeling we're going to hit the end of Chapter 3 during this session. We started to see some threads come together. We found out who our student in Class D was, and it turns out it's FES/FES/whatever the hell her real name is. Japanese Columbo managed to track us down and interrogate us, and basically got our whole story. So that's interesting. And of course, we got tracked down by the murderer, who turned out not to be a murderer and who was just trying to kindly give us the homework we missed for the day, which is a little weird, especially considering we don't seem to remember that she exists, and we're starting to wonder if maybe our boy really does have some sort of dissociative personality disorder, especially considering at the end of the scene, at the end of the episode, we basically went full Shogun, woke up, started sleepwalking and sleep posting, and now we're going to go to the hospital and maybe get a little info about that. So, things are escalating quickly, and I'm curious where they're going to be leading. We also need to find a sword for some reason, and I don't know where we're going to find that, or why, or what we're going to use it for, but that is also a thing. Maybe we are in a game. Maybe that is the idea. I also wonder if Rimi is also some sort of sleepwalker, and maybe she is she's murdering in her sleep, essentially. Because she also seemed like a very different person when we ran into her in that alleyway. Is that going to end up being the story? I speculated that maybe all these people have DID, but maybe it is just a sleepwalking thing. Or something that appears to be sleepwalking. Also, someone tried to kill Nanami, and even though we don't like her, that wasn't cool. I'm still not sure how the whole powers things works or how that ties, or what it's about, but hopefully we get some idea about that too. A creepy old man was pointing a camera at us. I want that to not happen. Anyway, we're back here. I went to the hospital first thing next morning. Yeah, you need to be here. They hadn't confirmed it was the last time I'd come here, but today they would definitely tell me I was normal. Yes, I'm not the crazy one. Dr. Takashina would remember me. I'd tell him, "It's me, Nishiju. I was your patient until around 4 years ago," and then he'd tell me everything I needed to hear. I'm perfectly okay. I'm not the crazy one. It was the demon girl. It was Mizumi-kun. They were the crazy ones. That was definitely what he was going to say. We're going to run into Mizumi at class, and he's going to be like, "What the hell?" And then Rimi is going to come up behind the both of us and be like, "Guys, the fuck." This hospital opened at 8 in the morning, which was a little bit earlier than regular hospitals. That was the reason why I'd shown up right when it opened, and yet I had a 3-hour wait. The seats in the lobby were already filled with countless middle-aged people or older. What the hell? Why? And George Foreman's already on break. God damn it. The hospital just opened, so why were there so many people here? Don't you bastards know head starts are unfair? Come on time like you're supposed to, assholes. As I continued to hurl insults at them inside my head, I had no choice but to wait. I'm already number 53. About an hour passed before I really started to regret not having made an appointment. Why would you not make an appointment if you had the option? But right after that, I started thinking that they called my name, and I was immediately relieved to know that I wouldn't have to wait as long as last week. Except, the one waiting for me in the examination room wasn't Dr. Takashina, but some white-haired old man I'd never seen before. Oh? So not even his mentor that we saw before, and, noticing my confusion, the nurse standing right behind him, I think her name was Hazuki-san, gave an apologetic look. I'm afraid Dr. Takashina is no longer here. Well, that's interesting. Also, do you look different? I feel like her outfit is subtly changed. I can't tell for sure. What? Rather, to be specific, he collapsed from fatigue last weekend. He's taking the week off to rest. Well, that's a lot different from no longer here. What? This couldn't be happening. My one and only ally. who didn't remember me in any way, shape, or form. Wait, had he really collapsed from fatigue? Oh, it's a conspiracy orchestrated by the demon girl. We're going full Rintaro. Nishijo-san? She had to have poisoned his food, or sent him a death threat to scare him into submission, or done some other horrible act to psychologically break him. Dude, the girl literally just came over to give you the homework you missed. Good God. This had to be the work of the demon girl. She was trying to isolate me from my allies, so I'd be defenseless against her assault. There was no way in hell I was going to let anyone other than Takashina examine me, so instead of getting a checkup, I ran away from the hospital. Well, so much for answers. You waited there an hour for that? Back to ESO. Back to Neidhart. Back to the shipping crate. Damn it. Kuso. Leaning on the fence at the edge of the roof, I blankly stared up at the sky. The skies of Shibuya were dim and lifeless. You'd have to be crazy to call them clear. I shouldn't go to the hospital anymore. The demon girl's net was tightening around me. Maybe I already had nowhere to run. Maybe the detectives I'd met yesterday were imposters. Maybe in reality they had been the demon girl's underlings all along and they'd just been testing me. Making sure I didn't have my sword. That had to be it. The timing had just been way too perfect. The demon girl had broken into my room right after I talked to them, for fuck's sakes. She was a demon after all. She wasn't human. Controlling and manipulating the human mind would be child's play for her. So were we actually talking out loud during those times when we were thinking? Or were we legitimately thinking she was actually reading our minds? Something is going on here. I had no evidence of that, though, but at the same time, I had no evidence proving she wasn't a demon, so that's basically the same thing as proving she is. Which meant the only way to stay alive was to just assume the worst-case scenario. Well, stick to your strengths. Did I really have nobody on my side? No, you've got Nanami. It felt like everyone was against me. No matter where I looked, no matter who it was, all I saw was yet another one of the demon girl's underlings. Oh, save me. Somebody save me. Why didn't I have even a single ally? Why wouldn't anyone come save me? Why did only I have to suffer so much? I felt more helpless than ever. I just wanted something to support me. Someone who would protect me, something that would protect me, like a sword. I didn't care who or what it was, just someone, something, please, grant me salvation. Ah, there we go. He remembers, your sword, find it, quick. This is the tutorial for your average Legend of Zelda game. We need to find the Master Sword behind the rock in the cave. If you do, you shall be granted salvation. I guess you don't get the Master Sword right off the bat. You get, like, the initial sword. Suddenly I remembered those words. A sword. Time to go to animate. If this was a game, I'd be the protagonist and there'd be a cliché story moment where I'd obtain the legendary sword and triumph over evil. I think I've got a foam diamond Minecraft sword somewhere around here. At that point, I'd heard the word sword from 2 different 3D girls recently, and extremely close proximity at that. There still remained the possibility that FES was on my side. Girl B, however, I think her name was Senna, had a pretty high chance of being one of the demon girl's underlings, judging by her attitude. A sword. A sword. If I can get a sword, then I'll be probably arrested. I started talking to myself like I'd lost my mind. I was grasping at straws at this point. If I just get my hands on a sword, I might be freed from this nightmare. I couldn't help but hope for that. It wasn't that I believed what FES had said about it granting me salvation. I just had nothing else to cling to. At the very least, I should do some research. Dude's going to start walking around with a sword in broad daylight just because he saw the other girl doing it. I promptly tried searching for it online. Where is my sword? I started off by checking to see if the swords FES and Senna were carrying appeared in any anime, but I couldn't find anything, at least from the seasonals. Well, I'd expected as much. I always checked out the newest anime after all. Considering there were upwards of 30 to 40 of them in one season, it'd really pile up on me if I tried to watch them all, so I just watched the first couple episodes and figured out which ones to keep following from there. Naturally, since MewTube existed, I had no trouble completing my lineup from channels such as BS and CS. So there was no way I'd overlooked any anime. And those swords weren't in any of the shows I'd checked out. They're from the anime I'm in. Oh my god, Sarah. The swords both had extremely distinctive shapes, so if they'd showed up, I definitely would have remembered them. Although if someone other than myself had been controlling me when I saw it, then there was nothing I could do about it. Next, I tried searching for the swords themselves, rather than anime they might have appeared in. That might be tricky. Damn it, they're almost all video game walkthrough sites. Terms I knew well, such as ESO's Shangri-La Edge, kept popping up. I was making no progress. For fuck's sakes, I was supposed to be able to find it quickly. I had a feeling that Senna had used a more concrete name for it, but what had it been? I don't actually remember that. Remember! The nightmare won't end unless you remember. Did she give the name of her sword? Answer me. You see it, don't you? Oh, right, the DEE-sword. That's what she called it. Of course. DEE-sword. Okay, we're going to call it a D-sword. That was it. She called it a D-sword. I quickly typed it in and ran a search. What is a D-sword? Again, why is D-I amnesia? What? I got hits. I theorized that the DI in D-sword might be somehow related to the DI in DID that Yua was looking up. It says amnesia right there. I got hits. Only 2 of them, though. Wow. Even so, I was already starting to think of those 2 links as my road to salvation. Holding back my excitement, I checked the top one first. Oh. Well, the page was down. The site itself is having amnesia. Damn it, what the hell? Okay, calm down. Go back and look at the cache. Good call. The page had an illustration on it. Must have been a recreation based on how the sword was described in various books. Okay, that's going a little quick here. I'd like to read. Yeah, stop right. Oh, Delusion Ideal Sword. Okay, let's just take a minute to process wiki pedophilia. Pedophilia? Why is this a pedophilia site? Wait a minute. Hang on. Time out. Back up. Okay, ignore that. Swords of Light, known as DEE-swords, were unleashed upon the world. DEE-swords are fictional swords created in medieval Europe by the legendary Gladiol, the wicked-hearted king. The swords were created to feed off the negative emotions of man, and as such, the Black Knights who fought with these holy swords eventually had their hearts eaten away by them. Unlike other holy cursed swords, DI-swords or D-swords are characterized by their unique invisibility. Aha! It is said that the moment one of them seemingly unarmed warriors swings their arms, the sharp slice caused their opponent's arm to be severed from their body and fall to the ground before they can even feel the pain. So again, JoJo stand rules. Ancient legends often contain settings that transcend theories of all creation, and as such the sword has made appearances in several books and various other mediums. D-swords and the phenomenon are considered to be practically synonymous. The Kamaitachi phenomenon. I feel like that word has come up before too. Kamaitachi, meanwhile, are imaginary specters that are sometimes depicted as weasels with sharp sickles for arms. But this interpretation can only be attributed to a faithful recreation of people's imaginations over many years. If one were to describe the beings in words, they would be spirits of the wind. However, the truth of the phenomenon has already been verified by modern science. The slices are caused by... Okay, that has nothing to do with swords. It's from a legend? Yeah, keep scrolling. Well, there's a... Yeah, it's really plain. Well, that's probably what just people think that they look like, when in reality they're all anime as shit. And of course there's a book series. We don't care about that. Why did it have to be such a niche sword to begin with? I mean, why couldn't it have been a sword like Excalibur or Kusanagi? You know, swords that were actually a big deal. No, this wasn't the time to piss and moan. Niche or mainstream, I didn't care as long as it could save me. I decided to research a bit more. Check the other link. Continuing, I clicked the second link. You bought a DEE-sword? I'm not sure that's how that works. Yeah, the words "I bought a DEE-sword" caught my eye specifically. Were these things something you could buy? Again, to animate. The blog owner seemed to be a male, so I could deduce that it couldn't be the demon girl or Senna. Shady stuff. Blah, 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 da, da, da. Okay, I don't know about... She's talking about Akibahara. And the energy shown in the writing was way too different from Shogun's. Was he a completely unrelated third party, or could he have deliberately changed his writing style? WTF. I knew that no answer would come to me no matter how much I thought about it, so I gave up and stopped looking at the blog. More importantly, it seemed like the store he'd mentioned, Town Vanguard, was located in Shibuya. Oh, we could just go and buy a magic weapon. Awesome. Reading. What the hell names the thing a DEE-sword? I've already forgotten how to pronounce it. Was it a DEE-sword or a D-sword? I guess it would be a D-sword if we're talking Japanese pronunciation, right? It's this pretty huge toy. It's got this real oomph to it. Blah, blah, blah. I had the feeling that it was too good to be true, but I also had the feeling it was predestined, too. Looking at it from another angle, maybe the exact reason I'd run into a girl holding a D-sword in the middle of Shibuya twice was because the store was located there. Fair point. Wasn't underground stuff like this supposed to be secretly popular among a few minority groups in Shibuya? Pretty sure it was. Are we literally just going to go buy our starter D-sword and then maybe we'll find the master D-sword later? Anyway, I went ahead and ran a search for Town Vanguard. It didn't seem to have an official site, but I did find a preview image of it on an online map. If they didn't have an official site, that probably meant they didn't take online orders. I tried searching for them as a seller on Taboo Auctions, but I didn't find anything. Which meant that I would have to go to the store in person. I really didn't want to go outside, but I have to get a sword. I have no other choice. I have to get a sword. I'm not sure this is how you do things. I don't think you go down to the 7-Eleven. I had now come to think of the sword as my sole only means of opposing the demon girl. You're going to take a swing at Rimi as soon as she comes in again, and she's not going to appreciate that. I didn't have any idea what I would actually do after I got it, though. I certainly wasn't brave enough to kill her with it, not even close. Even so, I had hoped that if I got my hands on a sword, I would be released somewhat from the terror that was tormenting me. The D-sword would be my protective charm, something I could depend on. Unlike Sarah, there was something strangely alluring about that sword. I don't know, man. Whoa, we're actually opening the door and walking out, and not having a transition to just Shibuya. Oh no, never mind, we're having a transition just to Shibuya. It seemed like the store was located somewhere near Cat Street. Cat Street was a long, winding road next to Meijidori that ran from Shibuya to Harajuku. Apparently it had been built on top of an old stream that had been reclaimed a while back. There were a bunch of reasons as to why people started calling it Cat Street, such as it being frequented by feral cats, or that it was so narrow that only cats could use it, but it wasn't like it made a difference to me either way. Cat Street was pretty far away from my base. It took about 15 to 20 minutes to get there on foot. It had been much faster by bike, but unfortunately I didn't have one, so why bring it up? I decided to take a route that went past the front of the train station, then through Shoto via cutting through Miyashita Park. Quickening my pace a bit, I crossed the overpass that went over Meijidori. And ran into someone? Whew. I'd finally arrived. I was starting to get really impatient. The sheer distance was pissing me off. Cat Street was nice and quiet compared to Center Guy, and it felt much more like Harajuku than Shibuya. The stores lining the streets here were only aimed at trend chasers I wanted nothing to do with. Fuck them, by the way. Just had to throw that in there. Knowing how out of place I was just made me all the more pissed off. It was completely foreign territory. Every last one of the assholes around me thought they were so damn cool. There were even more couples sauntering around there than in the shopping district. Whatever, they were probably just a bunch of broke shitheads trying to pretend they have money, so they were just window shopping, Lamau. Waste of space. I was starting to regret coming here at all, but I reminded myself that all the suffering would be worth it once I got a sword, so I just sucked it up and kept walking. I need a beginner weapon. In order to avoid making eye contact with anyone, I kept my eyes firmly trained on my map as I speed walked toward my destination. How is this going to go? Just go to the sword store. Yeah, no problem. Town Vanguard was deep inside a narrow side road that split off from Cat Street. Is this it? Even though I'd only gone one side street away from the main road, the atmosphere had changed dramatically. It was a narrow, cramped, filthy alley that no car could travel through. The street was lined with wooden houses, out-of-business stores with closed shutters, and the inevitable spray-painted graffiti that covered said shutters. Despite how nice it had looked from the outside with all its high-class name-brand stores, Cat Street 2 was nothing more than a superficial facade. And behind that facade lay a whole host of broken-down, mercilessly discarded junk heaps. Then again, I couldn't stand the place either way. Both the bullshit and the truth were foreign territory for me. The only home for me was ESO. Even for the back streets, though, Town Vanguard had an even smaller, darker atmosphere than I was expecting. I was finally starting to get why the blogger had called it shady. Even though an open sign was hanging on the door, it didn't exactly look like business was booming, and that was being generous. Thanks to that, it was extremely hard to convince myself to go in. How was I, a guy who couldn't even go into a gyudon shop by himself, I don't know what that is, supposed to enter a sketchy-ass store like this? I wanted to go home. No, I need to get hands off a sword no matter what. What should I do? I'm imagining those booths you see at anime and comic and whatever trade shows where they sell like replica blades from anime and things. That's just what I'm expecting him to walk into. I spent a little while trying and failing to get myself to go in. Not a single person came through the cramped alley. I'd already spent 30 minutes waffling over what to do, but I still hadn't seen a single soul since I'd gotten off the road. All that happened was I would finally decide to suck it up and go in, but then I would realize I wasn't brave enough, repeat ad nauseum. But I couldn't go home empty-handed. This was the only place I could get my hands on a DEE-sword. Even though my sense of reason told me that, my instincts made me hesitate to enter the shop. You ever heard of the conscious and the subconscious mind arguing with each other? This is exactly what it's like. In my mind, I had a delusion where the clerk came out to me. Of course she was a cute maid. Damn your delusions. And she talked to me with a voice straight out of an anime. She knew exactly what I wanted. She held the DEE-sword out to me, friendly as could be. Here you are. Please take this sword, master. Foo-hee-hee. Okay, that's enough. Chill out, B. Foo-hee-hee. Just as I was thinking about how much nicer it'd be if things turned out that way, a lone 3D girl appeared from within the store, almost like she'd somehow heard my thoughts. Watch it be someone we know. However, unlike my delusion, she was wearing disgustingly gaudy clothes, the type that made you think, what Indian tribe did she steal those from? But at the same time, despite the getup, she looked absolutely miserable. Talk about whiplash. Show me her, show me her. Her hair was incredibly frizzy, to the point where it looked like her head had exploded, and creepy patterns were scrawled on the bandana she had twisted around it. She said that she was a store owner and had come out after seeing me pace outside. My delusion hadn't exactly become reality, but it wasn't like I had expected it to. Before I knew it was happening, the clerk forcibly showed me inside, despite how reluctant I was to do so. I didn't even have the chance to turn her down. Show me her, show me her, show me her. In the end, I found myself inside the store. It was all well and good that I'd cleared the most difficult task, but if this store was under the demon girl's control and everything about the DEE-sword was just an elaborate trap to lure me to it, I wouldn't be allowed to complain if I'd gotten killed right here. My eyes darted around the store's dim interior. I like how this guy's attitude is just, well, I did something stupid, so if I got killed, I'm just going to accept it. Oh well. There wasn't a single customer. The air was awfully stagnant and slightly hazy. The unpleasant odor of tobacco and mold mixed together and invaded my nostrils. It felt like I was going to be sick if I stayed here for any more than 5 minutes. Show me the owner. Though I saw things that looked like products, it was difficult to judge whether or not they were actually for sale. All of them had been placed haphazardly, and there was no way to distinguish them from just plain old garbage. And it didn't help that not a single one of them had a price tag. I didn't notice it until after I'd come in, but there was a whole lot of porn and sex toys. Among them were devices you'd see in Eroge, and I had no idea where to find a safe place to look. Look at the knight armor. The store must have been a variety shop for adults or something. Yeah, it's pretty eclectic. After forcing me into the store, the clerk sat down on a stool behind the counter, then proceeded to zone out as she smoked. She showed no indication that she was going to continue meddling with me. She was probably a partial source of the haze in here. Even though it had been less than a minute since I'd come in, anxiety, a weird sense of pressure, and the embarrassment all combined with how sick I was feeling in the form of a disgusting sweat seeping out of my forehead. I wanted to get out of this otherworldly place as soon as possible. I had to hurry up and find a DEE-sword, quick. I walked toward the back as I looked throughout the store. I soon found the fantasy weapons section, which had been mentioned in the blog I found. This corner of the store was the only thing that stood out to me. Numerous pole-shaped toys were neatly displayed. All of the toys were tubes of some sort. They were different colors, but pretty much all of them were lightsabers. You could tell pretty easily from how shoddy they were that they were all bootleg. I doubted they would even glow. It seemed like the light shuriken talked about in the blog was sold out, which surprised me. Yet, mixed in with the lightsabers was a single item that was clearly different from the rest. Oh? It only took one look for me to know it was a DEE-sword. Oh, really? It looked almost exactly like the illustration I'd seen online. I went to pick it up. It was unexpectedly light. I wondered what it was made of, but it definitely seemed like some sort of soft vinyl. It wasn't sharp at all. The edges were slippery and naturally didn't hurt me in the slightest when I ran my fingers across it. Compared to the ones Senna and FES had, it was badly designed, had no sense of weight, and above all else, it didn't give me the sense that it would sever anything with just the slightest touch. Could it be a fake? You think? It's made of vinyl. That worried me, but there wasn't anything else in the store that resembled a DEE-sword. Would this even give off light at all? I think you're setting your expectations a little high here, my boy. The DEE-sword FES had swung around at her show had pieces of glass embedded in it that gave off a blue light and looked extremely badass. Hey, like I said, man, starter weapon. But I didn't see a single shard of glass in the sword I was holding. Maybe I shouldn't buy it. The DEE-sword was so shoddily made that I couldn't help but come to that conclusion, despite how long it had taken me to get here. But... salvation? Your sword. Find it. Quickly. I think your expectations might have been a bit high there too, Fess. Have you seen what this guy has been up to today? If you do, you shall be granted salvation. I wasn't talking about a shitty vinyl sword, by the way. I remembered FES's words. Right, if I didn't buy it right here and right now, I'd lose my only chance of getting my hands on a DEE-sword. Maybe it only looked cheap, but once it recognized me as its true master, an incredible power would manifest within it. Okay, Rintaro. Or maybe I'd seen too much anime. Confirmed. Or read too many manga. Also true. But I had sensed that exact kind of unknown power in Senna and FES's swords. So this sword should have it too, but what to do? Great questions. While my internal debate raged on, the clerk came up and stood right behind me without me noticing. With a melancholy smirk, she pointed at the DEE-sword and muttered, 10,000 yen, and I'll throw in a free bonus. How absurdly cheap it was made me doubt my own ears at first. I had amassed quite a bit of cash from RMT, and if it was only 10,000 yen, I could buy it simply by sacrificing a small figure. Yeah, that's like $100. Not exactly chump change, but yeah, pretty cheap for a fucking sword. When I'd heard the price, and when I'd realized it was the last one they had left, I'd come to an immediate decision. My boy, you get taken so fast. People see you coming a mile away. The bonus that had come with it was a cheap-looking bangle. To be frank, I didn't want it in the slightest. Watch the bangle be where the power comes from. Everything after that was hell. But you had a sword. Town Vanguard didn't do deliveries, so my only option was to lug it home myself. Do you have a very large brown bag, please? Toy or not, my excitement died instantly when I realized I'd have to carry the stupidly long sword right through the heart of Shibuya. But I'd already paid for it, and the clerk adamantly refused to let me return it. Now, will people notice it? Like they didn't notice the other sword. This was a really intense form of humiliation roleplay. Having to haul a huge toy like this down a fancy street, just as I'd come to expect. Yep, there you go. So they did see it, so your sword is shit. The DNQ couples, dolled up grills, and whatever other manner of sheep that passed me by all had those same exact mocking smiles. Damn it, every last one of you should just kill yourself. I focused intensely on keeping my head down for the rest of the way home, having delusions all the way down about swinging my newly bought DEE-sword at the innocent people in the middle of the road, viciously slaughtering piles and piles of them. Okay, settle down, settle down. Okay, huff, huff, I finally made it back. I started running when I was about halfway home, and I didn't stop until I got there, so I was gasping for air by the time I'd reached my base. The ice-cold stares of the pedestrians were killing me. It was somewhat impressive that Senna was able to endure this kind of embarrassment all the time. In a way, I even respected her for it. I could never do what she did. Again, invisible! It was in the blog, or the article. What? Uh-oh. You might have to put that silly sword to good use. Suddenly a sound came from a blind spot in the shadow of my base. Was someone there? Watch out! I have a vinyl sword and I'm not afraid to use it. Freezing in my tracks, I gulped. The pure white smile of the demon girl who called herself Remy appeared in my mind. Maybe she'd come back. Maybe this time she'd come to kill me for real. What should I do? Should I run? I sensed a presence. The light of the sunset etched someone's shadow onto the ground. One that I knew, without a shadow of a doubt, had to be female. I immediately readied my D-sword. When I actually tried holding it like that, though, it felt even less reliable than I expected it to. Yeah, I don't think this is going to have the effect you think it is. Senna's sword had felt incredibly intimidating, and it had this sense of overwhelming pressure that wouldn't allow anyone to get near it. But the D-sword I was holding didn't feel like that at all. Maybe it really was a fake. Could I really fight with something like this? No! There was no way. Even if I had a real one, I still couldn't do it. Not only that, but I hadn't realized how heavy it really was until I first started holding it just now. Maybe I was holding it wrong. In any case, it would be impossible to even swing it like this. Why? The shadow suddenly wavered. It was approaching me. Is it Nanami? Playing a joke on you? Stay back. You're going to take your sister's head off? I shut my eyes tight and haphazardly swung the sword in front of me. I knew I wouldn't be able to defeat my enemy this way, but I did it anyway. Even so, I had the faint hope that as long as I had this sword, it'll somehow do something anyway. But I didn't feel it hit anything, nor did my enemy make a sound. They're too busy trying not to laugh. I couldn't believe it. Could that single strike of mine have utterly annihilated the demon girl? If so, that'd be the best shit to ever happen to... Yeah. It is Nanami. When I opened my eyes, the one standing there wasn't the demon girl, but rather Nanami. It is a demon! Kill it! She was looking at me with unmistakably judgmental eyes. What? All my strength disappeared instantly, and I dropped to the ground right where I'd been standing. You don't scare me like that. She was the worst little sister ever. Didn't she know how shitty it was to scare her own older brother like this, let alone enjoy it? Who the hell did she think she was? This was exactly why 3D would always pale in comparison to 2D. I wasn't trying to scare you. I just came over for your routine survival check like I usually do, but you weren't here. Why were you hiding? Why did you make me wait here for 30 minutes? Do you realize how worried I was about you? You've made my precious free time disappear into thin air, you know, jerk. Worried? I thought you bought a phone so you could do it remotely. This bitch was worried about me as if I'd fall for such an obvious lie. So? Where'd you run off to? You don't go outside at all that often, and you didn't pick up when I called you either. Oh, so you did call. I'd left my phone behind at my base. It wasn't like anyone was going to call me while I was out, so I'd see no point in bringing it. Except that is actually the point of a phone. Also, what's up with the sword? Okay, she can see it. I was wondering if it was going to be a situation where it actually was invisible. Did you just come back from buying it? Nanami peered curiously at the sword. Oh, I got it now. Some anime toy, right? Man, you really are a total nerd. But, if I'm honest, this toy doesn't fit you at all. Just a second ago, you had your shoulders all squared as you held it up. I'm gonna crack up just thinking about it. Told you they were trying not to laugh. Ignoring Nanami, I undid the lock on the door to the container house and made to go inside. Wait! Don't ignore me! Go home. You know I'm alive. Piss off. If she'd just come to check if I was alive, then she got what she wanted and she no longer had a reason to be here. She was always making fun of me, and every time she came over, she would do nothing but complain. If she really was that put off by me being here, then she didn't have to come at all. It was annoying anyway. There'd be no skin off my back if she stopped. Hey, I came all the way here to check up on you, so could you at least be a little grateful? I even brought a present for you and everything. Her voice was whiny as could be, and she pursed her lips. A present? Yep, Mom told me to bring it. Here. Is it better than the phone? Nanami held me a bag of clementines. There were about 10 of them wrapped up in red netting. Weird. Something's fishy here. I'd eat clementines if they were right in front of me, but they weren't my favorite food or anything. On that note, I could use a quick break, so how about I sit down and eat some with you? Go home. What the heck? I brought you a present and I'm offering to eat it with you. Aren't you happy? Because you should be. What exactly about eating clementines with Nanami was supposed to make me feel happy at all? And besides, it was obvious that she just wanted to eat clementines, and that was the whole reason why she'd come here. She'd been a fat ass ever since we were little, often stealing my portion to add to hers. I couldn't count the amount of times we'd fought over that. Your sister's not fat. Nanami, unable to take a hint, waltzed right on into my base. I gave up and followed in after her. You have any tea? I'd like something nice and warm. Do I look like I have tea? Exactly. Why the hell would I have tea? I only drink cola and nothing else. It's like you've never been here. Nanami sat down on the sofa and grabbed a clementine. Sighing, I set down the DEE-sword so it'd lean against my computer desk. I had no reason to continue carrying the bangle in my pocket, so I just chucked it somewhere behind me. Yeah, what's going to be up with that? What's that? Quickly spotting the bangle I'd thrown on the floor, Nanami went to pick it up. Does the sword only work if I'm wearing the bangle? Ooh, what a cute little bangle! Did you buy this too? Crazy to think that you've actually got good taste sometimes. Cute? How? The thing was nothing more than a piece of junk you'd get for 500 yen at worst. I couldn't believe how bad Nanami's taste was. She probably put like 40 Garo Froggies on it. This is where she's going to keep her collection. Ignoring her once again, I nabbed one of the clementines and sat down in front of my PC. Hey, why are you throwing this away? Because I don't want it. Duh. Okay, then I'll take it off your hands. What? What's the problem? You were going to get rid of it anyway. Come on, you could at least act like a brother every once in a while and give your sister a present. Consider this your first step. You call it a present, but it's just something I don't want that you suddenly decided to appropriate. Fine, then just take it. That's going to be a problem. This is where the sword's real power comes from, isn't it? Aw, isn't that cute? Literally walking PMS. As soon as she'd gotten my approval, she put the bangle on her wrist. Takes a real cheap whore to get this excited over a cheap piece of junk. Foo hee hee hee. Come on, be nice to your sister. So, what do you think? Does it look good on me? Not even close. That's so. You jerk. Baka. It was supposed to be a present, so why was she treating me like this? Because she's Nanami. Little sisters weren't supposed to call their brothers mean names. As someone with a little sister cannot confirm. What were they teaching girls nowadays? Go play 100 Eroge this instant. Yes, that's where your little sister should be taking her cues. Hee jerk. She was grinning from ear to ear. She's going to grab the sword. It's going to light up. She was grinning from ear to ear. I, meanwhile, was getting extremely pissed off. I really like it, so I'm not going to give it back anymore. Now that I think about it, I think this is the first time I've ever gotten a present from you. Literally trash I threw behind me. You want an empty soda bottle, too? Well, I have now, so I'll take real good care of it. As if I cared. No one asked you to take care of it. I didn't even get it for you in the first place. If that's all you want, then go home. This is like the third time we've told you to go home. I don't have time for this, so stop bothering me. The moment I said that, Nanami pursed her lips. You don't have to say it all mean like that. Besides, we haven't even eaten the clementines yet, and you haven't gotten me any tea either. What? Tea? I don't have any goddamn tea for you to drink. Urgh. If this is a restaurant, your only menu options are clementines and soda. Get used to it. Nanami glared at me intensely, hands on her hips. Before long, her eyes started welling up, and then... Fine. If I'm not much of a bother, then I'll just leave. Oh, good. Make it quick. You finally understand what I've been saying for the last 5 minutes. You big jerk! Get Clementine's skin in your eyes and go blind forever. That's an interesting curse. And I'm not going to give back the bangle either, jerk. Huh. That's going to come back to bite us, I feel. Yelling in a migraine-inducing voice that resounded throughout the entire room, Nanami grabbed her bag and ran out with insane speed. Oh, thank God. It was finally over. Hanging out with Nanami always took everything out of me. Why did she insist on coming here every week when I made it very clear I was sick of it? Read the room, for fuck's sake. Oh, hello, Nozumi. The first melt. I feel like we've heard that term before as well. Nozumi, this is the guy who was from the place when we were a kid going to the hospital. Also, Nozumi was on the quiz that we filled out about ourselves. The first melt is concluded with results that exceeded our expectations. There are only minor discrepancies between the GE rate increase and our initial calculations. And are our ventures into biorhythm control proceeding smoothly as well? Oh dear. Excuse me? Shibuya's GE rate, while it is much higher than those found in other areas, proves to be quite stable. Therefore, intentionally manipulating it is a simple matter, and forcing a sudden increase in the biorhythms of Shibuya's inhabitants would be equally trivial. Uh-oh. Is that why we're sleepwalking? Please consult the report containing the results of our experiments. I believe you will find the fruits of our labor to be quite acceptable. It's only natural that even scum like you would produce such results. We're supplying you with a large sum of money and incredible human resources after all. I'm fully aware as to how effective it is. The Church's followers have multiplied considerably over the past few months alone. And with that, Project Noah shall now advance to its next stage. Are we in agreement? What plan do you have in mind for its code samples? While you may have obtained the samples of 3 people, you have yet to reach our quota. Samples of 3 people. I presume we are one of them. I don't think this is someone we've met before. The guy in the flashback had dark hair, and I believe Columbo's partner had darker hair than this. So I think this is a new guy. But who are the 3 people also? Indeed, it will prove most difficult to achieve such numerical values if we do not have 5 samples at minimum. Huh. We are currently gathering sample carriers. After such is achieved, all that remains will be extraction. Gathering. This reminds me of what Senna said. Gathering. Have we been gathered? Presumably we are gathered. So, me, her, and FES have been gathered? So that's what we meant by gathering, not literally gathering us, but samples from us have been gathered, perhaps. Then we shall leave it in your hands. May the divine light save you. Continue your proceedings with great caution. Yes, I shall do my utmost. Fascinating. I should probably go to bed. We're probably due for an end of Chapter 3, which means something's going to hit us. The chapters always end with something kind of biggish. Stifling a yawn, I looked at the clock on my PC. It was 5 a.m. I'd spent another entire day grinding on ESO, but no monsters had ended up dropping the rare items I was looking for. I've been binging it for about 8 hours straight, but still no luck. That happened to me all the time, though. I glanced over to the side of my computer desk. The DEE-sword that I'd bought yesterday was still leaning against it. I had set it there within reach of me so I could grab it at any moment, yes. Such a formidable weapon. It will save me. Speaking of the sword, the damn thing hadn't glowed at all. I'd have been hoping that it had transformed into some new badass form like the one Senna had, but I've been similarly out of luck there, too. The bangle's got to be a part of it. On my monitor, Grimm's avatar had just leveled up. My Neidhart was already max level, so he wouldn't go any higher. It's probably about time to make a new character. My third after Lisa Lotte, I thought to myself as I rubbed my sleepy eyes. God, I have like 30 alts in Guild Wars 2. Get on my level. XP sure was something. It was a well-known concept in RPGs, but I figured EXP existed in real life too. Sure does. Hit the gym. Back when I'd first started playing ESO, I'd been a total nobody who didn't know right from left, but now I was known far and wide as lightning-fast Neidhart, the most powerful player in Baselard. Let's say the person controlling me had lost a chunk of my EXP for some reason or another. If that had happened, then it would make complete sense why I'd forgotten things. That could also be where the discrepancies in my memory had come from. Things like Shogun and the Demon Girl. Before a chunk of my EXP got wiped, maybe it was perfectly normal for me, the person controlling me, to post in chat rooms under the handle Shogun. And for me to live like a complete normie with the Demon Girl. No, that just wasn't possible. But if it was possible, then maybe I used to possess an incredible power that would allow me to oppose the Demon Girl. Or actually make sense for more than 5 minutes in a damn row. Was I the only person who thought like this? Yes! I didn't really feel like it was a particularly weird way of thinking. Human beings could only really make judgments based on their own sense of values that they'd come up with themselves. Exactly. So maybe it wasn't just me living my day-to-day life making the wrong decisions, but everyone else in the entire world. Or it's just you because the rule applies to you as well. Back when I was little, I'd gone to the dentist, and I remember them telling me, "You did such a good job putting up with that much pain. You were a very good patient." At the time, I thought I was amazing for making it through to the end, and I felt really proud of myself. Thinking back on it now, though, that comment was probably based on the degree of pain felt compared to the progression of the cavity. But even if the level of pain was the same, there would be people that could bear the pain, and there would be people who couldn't. In other words, I came to realize that how someone recognized and felt such sensations completely depended on the person. Childbirth, for example. I'd often seen on the internet that women could endure the pain of it, but it would be completely impossible for men. Another example would be marathon runners. Maybe they excelled, not because of their physical strength, but because of their ability to endure pain. There were also sadists and masochists. If there were people that found pleasure in being hurt, there would also be people that derived pleasure from hurting others. In other words, I believed that the way people felt things, along with their ability to handle pain and suffering, all varied from person to person. Perhaps the level of pain and the toothaches and headaches I got from time to time actually far surpassed the limits of pain an ordinary person could take. And if that were true, then perhaps if I'd passed the same pain on to someone else, the sheer agony would cause them to go into shock and die. The conclusion I ended up coming to as a result of that line of thinking was more or less a self-righteous delusion that perhaps I was special. It's literally the opposite. A girl comes into your room and you assume the fetal position. Yeah, special. I'm special. Never mind, who am I kidding? Delusion over. Although I denied it, I was sure that every person had delusions like this. Every man longs to be the strongest in the world. Every human being wants to think that they're special, that they're the chosen one. We all want to think that a dramatic story full of twists and turns like the ones you find in TV and movies is waiting for us in the future. The so-called desire to be a hero, or to be blunt, textbook Shinibyo shit. Of course, even I had those kind of desires. It could be very well my destiny to triumph over the Demon Girl, who's literally just your friend. But if that really was my destiny, and if I had to make it come true, I need a number of conditions to be met first. Number 1, be someone entirely different. At the very least, I absolutely needed the ability to use cheats, be it cheat codes for special attacks or maybe even a god mode of some kind. I don't want to deal with any pain or fear. How do I activate no-clip IRL? If I couldn't cheat in some way, or in other words, if I was supposed to achieve that with my own power, there's no way I'd be able to do it. Which was why, if the person controlling me had lost all of my EXP, that would be a huge blow to me, a super effective one. Weird trains of thought, but I'm sure it's leading somewhere. Currently, it's leading to school. I just barely got to school on time. Is Rimi just going to be there and now she's just a regular background character like Mizumi? I just barely got to school on time. It probably wasn't the best idea to stay up playing Vidya until early in the morning on a school night. I'd had to run in order to make it on time. When I got to the classroom door, I stopped and took deep breaths to try and catch my breath. I couldn't act in a way that would make me stand out to my classmates. For me, even something like being late would be fatal. If the DQN's eyes all zeroed in on me, my life would be over. I slowly made my way into the classroom, keeping my head down. I couldn't let myself make eye contact with anyone. Rimi having pink hair really would make her stand out in this crowd. You seriously don't remember her? Of course, I didn't give a mindless greeting like good morning either. Trying to make my presence as undetectable as possible, I made myself invisible and turned toward my seat. I am the DEE-sword. That was how I always did things. And then Mizumi attacked me from behind. Today was no different. I made it to my seat without any issue and sat down. And had a little nap. Soon after, I laid my head and arms face down on the desk, and from there I was safe until homeroom started. But I only got to relax for a split second before someone's hand clapped against my back. Hi, Mizumi. Yo, Taku! You kept school 3 times this week, haven't you? Man, you're really getting serious now, huh? Isn't that the pattern? 2 on, 3 off, 3 on, 2 off? Mizumi-kun again. Even though he was really getting on my nerves, I'd feel bad if I ignored him, so I started to reluctantly raise my head only to hesitate. Was this Mizumi-kun? The real one? 2 days ago, I'd done what the demon girl told me to and called him. When I talked to him, he'd been very clearly acting strange. I mean, he told me that Rimi was our classmate, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world, which I hadn't expected at all. Watch her standing there, too. Maybe the demon girl had brainwashed him. Maybe it was something else. Maybe the person controlling him had been switched out. Hello? You out cold already? An electronic sound suddenly rang throughout the classroom. I felt a faint vibration near my chest. Is he literally calling us to wake us up? It was on my cell phone. Shit! Now of all times? What kind of asshole calls at a time like this? Mizumi! And not only was my phone going off, but even though I was sure I'd set it to vibrate, the ringtone was going off too. I guess I must have messed up the settings. Taku, your phone's ringing. Okay, is it him? Yes, I know, goddammit. Should I just answer it? But if I did that, Mizumi-kun would know I was faking being asleep. Besides, I didn't like talking on the phone. I'm pretty sure he knows, dude. But also, if I didn't pick up, it would annoy the rest of the class, and considering how it was ringing loudly throughout the classroom, it had to be doing that already. I wasn't supposed to stand out. This is really, really bad. Hello? You're not going to pick up? Are you actually asleep? Damn it. While I'd been freaking out over what to do, I'd already lost my chance. I couldn't move now. The sound and vibration stopped. The call must have gone to voicemail. I let out a sigh of relief, soft enough that Mizumi-kun wouldn't be able to hear it. It was definitely the right call for me to have figured out how to use the voicemail function. Hey, Taku! Who was it on the other end? Don't tell me. Was it a chick? Was it the glasses chick that you went home with not too long ago? I'm right, aren't I? Damn it, you're annoying. I just wanted him to stop bothering me. That phone call had already made me stand out way too much. And Mizumi-kun always been this persistent? Pretty much. Though he had always been way too friendly with me, I thought he at least had the capability to take a hint. Get slapped on the back? There's Rimi. Oh, come on, knock it off already. I heard a voice from right next to Mizumi-kun. Leave him be, Daichin. Uh-oh. He seems really tired for some reason, so just lay off for today. She was here. In my classroom. Like it was the most normal thing in the world. Ah, come on. He's probably just gaming for way too long last night. You know me well. You're way too soft on him. You're just mad because I'm not nice to you. And why would I, considering how you act around women? You're the enemy of all of us, I swear. Yeah, Rimi's a smart one. They were having a friendly conversation like it was the most normal thing in the world. She was blending in like it was the most normal thing in the world. How many times are you going to say it's the most normal thing in the world? I was too scared to look up. I didn't want to acknowledge that she was there. Nah, even if you aren't the nicest to me, I got loads of chicks that'll sub in for you. So ha! Are you serious right now? I've been telling you over and over that you should stop saying things like that. Your girlfriend's gonna cry if she hears you. Which one? Not that I know who your current girlfriend is. Oh, there's the bell. Here comes the teacher. Had the demon girl really been my classmate all along? There was no way. She hadn't been here 2 days ago. Or at the very least, the only person that had spoken to me that day was Mizumi-kun. I hadn't gone to school yesterday, so I wasn't sure about that one. But when I came today, she was here. How? How had she managed to worm her way in? Oh, hey, I'm not asleep now. Everyone took their seats once the sound of the bell announced the start of homeroom. Sensing that, I looked up cautiously. I surveyed the room with just my eyes. I wanted the voice from earlier to have been just an illusion. In order to prove that to myself, I needed to make sure that the girl was nowhere to be found in the classroom. I didn't see her. I didn't see anything that even remotely resembled her. Did that mean she really was a hallucination? She's behind you. She's totally behind you. My seat was in the 5th row from the front. There were 9 rows in total. She wasn't in any of the rows in front of me, which meant she was behind me? But I couldn't turn around. I couldn't allow myself to stand out. Damn it, this was so frustrating. Was she really in the classroom or not? I didn't feel chills on the back of my neck. No one was looking at me. I didn't feel a gaze. Was she here or not here? Which was it? Still staring at the surface of the desk, I tried to detect her by just her presence alone. And, right as I tried, I heard my homeroom teacher enter the classroom. I didn't remember the teacher's name. I had a feeling it was Tsukaji or Tsukada or something like that. Is it going to be the blonde dude we just saw? It's going to be someone that, again, we just haven't been paying attention because we're oblivious as fuck. He was a PE teacher that graduated from an athletic college, and he was a total musclehead. However, he didn't really act like it, nor did he employ corporal punishment like one might expect him to. If anything, he was the type of teacher that knew how to take a joke. For some reason, the class all started murmuring about something. But right now, I was occupied with trying to detect the demon girl. Did I really expect to be able to sense her by presence alone? This wasn't some manga. Was I an idiot? Oh. Well, that's always trouble. Is this going to be that Kuono, whatever her name was? All right, listen up, everyone. From today onward, we've got a new transfer student. My homeroom teacher mumbled that to the class. Oh, so that was why the room was so noisy. It is Orihara. That was her first name. I remember that. Orihara, whatever. Is she old enough to be in this class? I took her for someone quite a few years younger than us. I didn't hear the supposed transfer student say anything. Was there really one here? I glanced toward the door. Delusion. And I don't think the teacher is the same guy, but it looks like he shops at the same place Columbo does. And sure enough, there was someone there. She was extremely petite, possibly even more so than Nanami. Exactly. She's a tiny one. She looked fairly timid, emulating that moe gets bullied all the time archetype. If I had to choose, she was probably around mid-tier when it came to 3D girls. For some reason, she was looking down at the floor, her eyes filled with tears. For some reason, you do that all the time. The scattered whispers grew to murmurs as the transfer student maintained her silence, so in order to comfort her, the teacher placed his hand on her shoulder. Oh, looks like she's a little nervous. All right, I'll take you off the hot seat. This is Orihara Kozue. That's what it was. I hope you all welcome her as a new member of the class, Orihara Kozue. Orihara, your desk is over there in the back. Go ahead and take a seat. Are we going to follow her as she goes back and then see Remy? The transfer student made her way to the back without saying a word, keeping her head low to the ground. Her seat was 4 rows behind mine. Should I pretend to watch her so that I could catch a glimpse of the people behind me? Hey, thinking like me. Problem was, that'd draw a lot of unwanted attention to myself. You got someone drawing the unwanted attention already. This is a good cover. I didn't want any DQNs trying to pick a fight don't go staring at her just because she's cute or some BS like that. I was at a loss for what to do. Should I look now or should I wait until class is over? My head still firmly pressed against my desk, I squeezed my fists tightly. Forget it. I was a coward. Just a thought that if I turned around, my eyes would meet with that girl's sent shivers down my spine. You're like me. Oh, fuck.
You're like me.
Are we... Are we sleepwalking? Do we have DID? Are we telepathic? Does everyone just like cool swords? What the hell is going on here? The transfer student walked right by my seat. Taken aback, I glanced at her face. What was that? I then realized that without even thinking, I'd looked up. Yay! Okay, magic sword number 3. Damn, that's, bigger than you are. Can you tell me where you bought that? I'd like to go to that shop, please. The transfer student stopped at my desk. Was that in the CG when she was standing in the door? If it was, I didn't notice it. Bloody hell. The transfer student stopped at my desk, if only for a split second, but she didn't look at me. In that moment, however, I saw that she was carrying what looked like an enormous slab of raw iron. And then it was gone. What the hell? When I blinked, the slab of iron was gone. What was that just now? Was my mind playing tricks on me? I'm so happy we're in the same class. So now, instead of just reading my mind, people are talking in my mind. What is going on? That was all she said. Did she say it? That didn't sound like she said it. The transfer student then resumed walking, leaving my desk behind. Had she been talking to me? Why did she talk to me out of nowhere like that? I was like her? She was happy we were in the same class? Did we know each other? No, definitely not. I'd never seen her before. Unless she meant to tell me that she was some childhood friend who I'd completely forgotten about until now. Yeah, no, that's the Erogi speaking again. Was I actually becoming popular after all? How did I do this, and how do I stop? Or maybe, could the transfer student be one of the demon girl's underlings? If so, then the demon's net was closing around me even tighter. I was running out of places to hide. You have one hiding spot, and everybody knows it. All my new fears and doubts zoomed through my mind at 1,000,000 kilometers an hour, and before I knew it, homeroom had ended. First period would begin in about 5 minutes. Mizumi-kun rushed over to the transfer student's desk. Knowing him, he was going to try to lay the moves on her. The other students were clearly interested in her too, and the room had grown louder than usual. At a glance, it may have seemed like a casual, peaceful, ordinary thing. But for me, it was like being caught deep within enemy territory. My heartbeat was going crazy. Anxiety filled my head to bursting, and so much as lifting a finger felt like more than a one-man job. My brain was in the middle of a civil war, one side urging me to turn around, the other side warning me not to. Left hemisphere versus right hemisphere. Go! Taku? Remy? Okay, you're not sleeping, so don't even try to fake it. My breath caught in my throat, my mind went completely blank. A voice had come from directly behind me. It's one of the two. It's either the transfer or Remy. It is Remy, okay. She really was here. That girl really was here after all. You don't look so good. Are you feeling okay? I needed to run. I needed to run away as fast as I could. Despite that, my legs were shaking so violently that I didn't think I could even stand. And while I was frozen solid, the demon girl, Sakahara Remy, circled around to the front of my desk. Literally just never not been here. You're covered in sweat. You're not sick, are you? Just like 2 days ago, she spoke as if she were concerned about me. Just like 2 days ago, she held out her floral-scented handkerchief. I didn't accept the handkerchief, hurriedly wiping the sweat from my forehead on my own. Why? Why what? I couldn't look her in the eye. but from how she spoke, I could tell she had a smile on her face. Oh yeah, I was going to ask, what exactly did she say to you? Now, is that because she actually spoke, or because Rimi could hear this stuff too? Rimi crouched down, resting her chin on her hands. Now at eye level with me, she peered at my face. I quickly looked away. It felt like the anxiety would tear my heart right open at any moment. Damn it, why wouldn't she just let me go? Someone, please help me. I'm real curious. What was she talking about? Who was she asking me about? A transfer student. When she walked past you, she said something under her breath. But all I heard was pissed, pissed, pissed. Do you two know each other? Rimi was still smiling. Was it just me, or was her tone more of a probing one than an actually curious one? I thought you weren't into real girls. But is that really true? Hey, she spoke to us, not the other way around. Where was she going with this? Was her plan to probe me for personal information and then exploit it for her own gain? At the end of the day, I really didn't give a damn about 3D girls, just like I always said in that sour voice of mine. In that case, are you into me? You are not helping. An icy chill ran down my back. Despite having just wiped the sweat off my forehead, I could feel moisture all over it. Was that a threat? Or could it be that she was inviting me to become her ally? Or maybe she intended to seduce me, acting all moe so that she could lure me into a trap. All sorts of alarm bells were going off in my head. I shouldn't be talking to the demon girl anymore. If I did, it'd be signing my own death warrant. This is the same music as the title screen, I just realized. It just seems to come up whenever she's on screen. What? Taku! Finally found our legs. I'd hit my breaking point. In a panic, I stood up and dashed for the exit, knocking into several desks on my way out. Well, so much for not drawing attention. And there went my attendance. Oh, this is a new shot. Also a new shot, I think. Huff, huff, huff. I ran straight up the stairs without looking at anyone and came out on the empty roof. Is this just a thing? I keep seeing people hang out on school roofs in anime. Is this just something where you get to hang out on the roof? It didn't seem like she'd chased me. Even so, I couldn't allow myself to relax just yet, so I hugged my knees and decided to hide for a little while in the shadows. My knees were trembling. I couldn't believe I'd managed to run in this condition. I guess it just showed how desperate I was. I was tired of this reality. The DEE-sword I'd gone out of my way to buy hadn't been useful in the slightest. I obviously couldn't bring it to school with how much it'd stand out either. Hey, Orihara brought hers. I'd been careless. 2 days ago, when Mizumi-kun told me that Rimi was our classmate, I'd figured he was spewing some bullshit or just outright deluding himself. But she really was my classmate. Or at the very least, she had become one. There was no point in trying to figure out how she'd managed to worm her way in. She was a demon. She could do things that humans were incapable of with ease. Maybe she'd brainwashed my whole class, or maybe she'd brainwashed all the teachers instead. I couldn't go to the hospital anymore, and now I couldn't go to school either. Meanwhile, Yua was at Cafe, and Shogun always appeared online. Really? The demon girl and her underlings were no doubt getting closer and closer to me, continually hitting me with psychological attack after psychological attack as they did it. Maybe I shouldn't leave my base at all anymore. There were enemies in danger at every turn in reality. They had disturbed me and threatened my peace, even though all I wanted was to live a quiet life, bothering no one and being bothered by nobody. I looked up at the blue sky. It floated calmly above me as the wind blew white clouds across its breadth. How nice it would be if I could just become one of those clouds. About 3 hours had passed, and we're going to find out what happened after those 3 hours next time. I'm kind of waiting for a end of chapter or break point here, but we are at an hour, and the last episode was mega long, so I think now's a good time to stop, and I have a feeling we're going to start with something dramatic next episode. I hope to see you around for that. Things are getting intense. I am very curious what the absolute F is going on right now, because, yeah, weird stuff going on. Odd. New girl with sword. Where'd the sword come from? I want to know. I want to buy my own. I wonder if you can get one in the neighborhood here. I don't know. Anyway. See you next time. Click the things. Twitch, Twitter, yada, yada. See you around. Bye.